Hello everyone! I was lucky enough that in the last 2 months I drove 3 amazing cars that I think are very similar. Sporty cars, not SUV, electric cars. And I thought I want to compare them here a bit. And it's the Audi S6 e-tron, which I had in the end of August, then the Polestar 4 dual motor at the end of September, and in the beginning of October I had the BMW i5 M60. This video is brought to you by a better route planner, the route planner for EVs. Hundreds of cars are supported. Choose your configuration, plan your route with the charging network that you want to prefer or charging networks that you want to avoid. If you're a premium member, you can use real-time weather forecast and traffic information, and you can also use a better route planner in your car with Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Use the link in the description to support the channel and use a better route planner premium for 30 days for free. Important in this comparison, of course, it's my personal opinion. I mean, we're gonna compare the data that are facts, but then driving feel, power and all of this is of course my personal opinion. And important also, with the S6 e-tron I had the Avant version, so not the limousine, and with the i5 I also had the Touring with more space in the back, where the Polestar 4 there's only one version. You cannot get one with more trunk space. Let's start with the battery. In the S6 e-tron we have an 800 volt battery system. In the other 2 cars 400 volt battery system, which is then great for charging. Battery sizes, net capacity: in the S6 we have 95 kilowatt hours usable, in the Polestar 4 94, in the i5 only 81.2 kilowatt hours. This gives you a WLTP range of the S6 647 kilometers, the Polestar 4 590 and the i5 519 kilometers. Let's get to charging. The Audi and the Polestar can only charge AC with 11 kilowatt, the BMW with 22 kilowatt AC. But then DC charging peak, in the Polestar we have around 204 kilowatt on the charger, there's charging loss with it. In the BMW I had 210, 208, and in the Audi S6, because of the 800 volt battery system, a peak of 288. Again, on the charger, not into the car. And when we look at the charging time, 10 to 80% in my charging tests that I did with those 3 cars, we have the BMW with 32 minutes, the Polestar 4 30 minutes, but you have to think the BMW has a smaller battery, so the Polestar charged way more kilowatt hours over the time into the battery. But with the 800 volt battery system, the Audi S6, and with this high peak, and it can keep the power pretty long, only took 21 minutes. That's 11 minutes faster than the BMW. Let's look at my range tests, and when I tell you those numbers you have to think about that the temperature was not the same with all 3 cars. It wasn't raining on all those 3 cars, but still it's different. At my 130 kilometers an hour range test, I have to read that off here, the Audi S6 had 415 kilometers, the Polestar 4 376 and the BMW i5 306. But important, with the S6 it was 12 degrees, with the BMW 11 and with the Polestar 13. So it was pretty similar, but still we see 415 to 306 kilometers of range at 130 kilometers an hour. When we look at the 110 kilometers an hour range test, the S6 520 kilometers but 19 degrees, was pretty warm. Polestar 4 487, 17 degrees, and then the BMW 387 kilometers, but it was 13 degrees, so way colder, and it needed the heat. On my long distance drive, this is a bit problematic. Only the BMW I could test on a normal Sunday, where I usually want to do my long distance trip test, and I had to charge 3 times. It was raining like crazy though, and 9 degrees, so really cold, and I only achieved the average speed of 106 kilometers an hour for those 600 kilometers including charging. The Polestar 4 I did the same trip, only had to charge twice, but it was raining and it was during the week, so there was a lot of traffic, a lot of trucks, a traffic jam. 14 degrees, so I didn't need the heat that much, but only 106 kilometers an hour as well, again because of the traffic. It can go way faster. And the Audi S6, I did a different route because I had an event on that day. It was on the Sunday, but it was still a lot of traffic, but it was just a 500 kilometer trip. It achieved 120 kilometers an hour at 16 degrees. It was warmer, but on my normal trip, I think it would be around 118, and it would be the fastest still, I'm pretty sure, of those three cars, because again, it charges very, very well. Let's get to the power. All cars are all-wheel drive, of course. The S6 has 551 horsepower, the Polestar 4 544, and the BMW 601 horsepower. The times 0 to 100 kilometers an hour that I measured were 3.86 for the S6 and the i5. Same number. The Polestar 4 was 3.84, so a tiny bit faster. But again, S6 was an Avant version and the BMW was also the Touring. Top speed in the Polestar 4 we have 200 kilometers an hour. In the BMW i5 M60 it's 230. In the Audi S6 e-tron it's 240 kilometers an hour. But how does the power and the speed feel? And this is really important. And again, this is my personal opinion. So acceleration is amazing in all four cars. I think in the Polestar 4 we had a tiny bit of spinning wheels from 0 to 100, but no problem. And when you have to pass in something or power full on the highway on something, it's really, really nice. All three cars are really amazing. What's a bit annoying when it comes to the BMW is you can floor it. It's no problem. But if you want full power, there's an extra boost pedal shifter that you have to press, and then for 10 seconds you have full power. If you do launch mode, it's longer on there, but still you have to do something to get the full power. In the other two cars, it's just there. Launch control is another thing. In the Audi S6 e-tron, if you want to use launch control, you have to be in dynamic drive mode. You have to turn ESC off and then you stop, press with your left foot the brake pedal, floor it with your right pedal. It says launch mode activated, and then you get off the brake and it goes off. In the BMW i5, you don't have to do anything. You stand and then you do the full brake and the full power, so acceleration pedal, and then leave the brake and it goes on. Launch mode is very easy. In the Polestar 4 there is no launch mode. You just stop and then you floor it, and it still was the fastest out of those four with the least amount of power. When it comes to cornering, all three cars are amazing. The i5, when you put it into sport mode, it pumps up the seat, so you have more side support, and the drive is a bit more bumpy, but it makes sense. It's a sport, and if you go in personal mode, it's then fine. The Audi S6 is not so sporty, but that you feel it, that it's bumpy or anything. It's still comfortable in dynamic mode, but with the Audi at dynamic mode, you get that motor sound, where in the i5 you can turn off, but in the S6 in dynamic mode it's just on. That's a bit annoying. But then top speed. The Polestar 4 can only drive 200 kilometers an hour, and at that speed it feels amazing. Really, really good. The Audi S6 at 200 kilometers an hour feels also amazing. Above 220, 230, it gets a bit moving. So you feel that you're moving a bit to the left, to the right, and so not incredible. But at 200, it's amazing. The BMW, I made that video and a lot of people were complaining, especially on the German channel, hey, there can't be. But the i5 M60 Touring on the highway at 190, almost 200 kilometers an hour is not incredibly stable. And what I mean with this is that you drive and you feel the car moving a bit to the left, to the right, just a tiny bit, and you have to correct the whole time. Polestar 4, Audi S6 at 200 on the same road did not have any problem with this. And all three cars had sport tires on. I don't know the sizes, but I think all of them had 20-inch tires on there. The BMW at 200 is not as stable as the other two cars. And again, for me stable, and I was in sport mode and in personal mode. And for me stable means that you drive and the car moves by itself because of wind, even though it wasn't strong wind on a day, or little grooves on the road and stuff. It moves a bit and the other two didn't. At 230, again, the S6 did that as well, but at 200 it didn't do it. Let's get to cruise control. Audi S6 e-tron cruise control is amazing, can adjust everything as a stock on the side, not on the steering wheel. On the side I can do the distance, I can do the speed in 1 km/h steps, 10 and very, very fast. It's amazing, it holds the distance very well, really great. Polestar 4, meh. Because they did an update where the cruise control was then not really amazing. I can still adjust everything on the steering wheel, speed, distance and so on, turn it off and resume. But I had it sometimes where I was going into a left corner on the highway, where on the right I was on the left lane, there was a truck and it slowed me down, and the behavior when you are driving faster than what you set to your cruise control and you get a bit off the accelerator pedal, it slows you down extremely fast. Not amazing, really not good. BMW i5 cruise control is incredible. It reacts really well, it does everything nicely. The only problem is you do not have adjustment for the distance on the steering wheel. It's all in the infotainment system. And I am someone on the highway, I want short distance, so it doesn't slow me down too fast, and on a country road I want a bit more of distance. Steering assist, let's start with the Polestar 4. It was okay, not amazing. Again, they're waiting for the update. I had the unlucky car that was before an update. I don't know when that update is coming, but they need it desperately for the cruise control. And the steering assist was okay, but also not incredible. So when you drive into a corner with 130, 140, you feel the steering is not spot on. It's not the best. When it comes to auto lane change, that was okay, like many other cars do. Audi S6 e-tron steering assist is incredible. Felt amazing. Auto lane change was again okay, as most other cars do. BMW i5 steering assist Plus is incredible. Assist Plus is different than the other two cars because you do not, if it's activated on the highway, you do not have to touch the steering wheel. You can just do this. The only problem is if it loses the road, I don't know, there are no markings or whatever, then of course you get a beep and then you have to hold the steering wheel. So you cannot have your hands somewhere, and it monitors your eyes. So if you turn your eyes or head to the left or to the right, it will notice and will give you a warning. So of course in the other cars you can look for 2 seconds to the left or something and there's no problem. In the BMW you get a warning. But then Assist Plus, that also the auto lane change, where it does it itself without you having to interfere. When you drive and on the right lane there's someone who's slower and everything is free on the left lane, it will give you a message and a beep, tells you can pass. Just look in the left mirror, you do that and it will do indicator and passing, and then when you pass the car, also to the right. It does it amazingly well, really incredible. Problem with that is it's only to a top speed of 135 km/h. Assist Plus doesn't work above that. So if you want to drive 140, you have to use normal cruise control with steering assist. All three cars of course have the option where you can set the cruise control, take the speed that you recognize on a traffic sign, but the BMW has a great feature where you can tell it, take that speed and do plus minus a special number. So for example, I set it to +9, so when there was an 80 km/h speed limit, it did the cruise control to 89, which is really amazing. Software. So when it comes to the cockpit view, what you can see, and the infotainment system. In the Audi S6 e-tron, of course, this is mega taste, what you want to see. Sometimes it's too much, too many buttons. I found all three cars amazing. The BMW has a lot of buttons. The Polestar 4 has barely any buttons. The Audi S6 e-tron has a few buttons. And infotainment screen I liked in all three cars. The Polestar 4 was my favorite. I can adjust a bit more. I have a lot of favorites that I can do. It's portrait mode. It's better than the Polestar 3 or in the Volvo EX90. Landscape mode, not portrait mode, and I have my, like I said, favorites here and then buttons somewhere. I like that you have favorites. That's awesome. In the Audi S6 e-tron, it's okay. You have favorites for your assist system. Your cockpit shows a lot of information. The The Audi shows the most information at the same time in your cockpit. The BMW shows a lot, but you can switch between them. And the Polestar 4 has only map, driving data and assist system and just speed and range, but it's still okay. For me personally, driving wise, I like the Polestar 4 infotainment system and how it worked the best, even though it doesn't have Android Auto. So you have Apple CarPlay in the Polestar 4, in the other two cars you have both of them and wirelessly as well. In the Polestar 4 you didn't. So head-up display, all three cars had incredible head-up display. The Polestar 4 has basic head-up display. The BMW looks a bit better, shows you where the road is going if you're navigating somewhere, stuff like this. But it doesn't have real augmented reality where the Audi has augmented reality. It's not amazingly intuitive when it comes to when you have to drive into corners. The animation is sometimes a bit too much, the same when the speed limit comes in and stuff like this. But overall the Audi looks the best. And I forgot the battery heating. All three of course have navigating to a charger and then it preheats the battery automatically. In the Audi you can see that it's preheating. You just have to guess. You see the battery temperature though, so you can see it's going up. In the Polestar 4, it also does it automatically. You don't see anything. You also don't see a battery temperature. But in the BMW, you don't see the battery temperature, but you can preheat with a button. You can press it and preheat it, which I like a lot. And it's done very, very fast. Let's get to the space. Trunk space. All three cars have really good trunk space. The S6, the Audi and the BMW have more space than the Polestar 4. The BMW has not as much space as I thought. The Polestar 4, the normal trunk is okay, but then you have a really great big second floor. And the Audi has really good space. The second floor is not very big. Front, the Audi has 27 liters, the Polestar 4 has 15 liters, the BMW doesn't have a frunk. And then the most important space for grown-ups on the rear seats. The Audi S6 has a lot of headroom and legroom, the Polestar 4 had enough headroom and legroom, the BMW i5 had barely any legroom, headroom was okay, and then in the middle you also have a gigantic hump that you have to go over if someone is sitting in the middle. And that's because it shares the same platform with the ICE cars. Then we get to the last. Where is the car built and what does the car cost? What's the base price? The Audi S6 e-tron is built in Germany. The BMW also built in Germany. The Polestar 4 is built in China, but they want to start production in South Korea in, I think right now, around now. And I don't know if the German market or European market gets the Chinese models or then the South Korean models, but they're not being built in Europe. When it comes to price, the Audi and the BMW cost around the same base price, 101,000 euros. That's a lot of money. Where the Polestar 4 is incredibly cheap for 70,000 euros. A bargain against the other cars. Yeah, I think that was very interesting. Those three cars that are very similar but have very different things, and then the price difference to the Polestar 4 is staggering. I thought it was 100,000 euros. I was a bit surprised when I looked up the price for the Polestar 4. But the S6, again, for me personally, the S6 is my car. It's amazing, charges amazing, drives amazing, power, top speed. I like the infotainment system. I like the head-up display. It's totally my thing. If you want to follow me on Instagram, BatteryLife1, and if you want to support the channel, there's a Patreon link in the description below, and here on YouTube there's also channel membership. And if you want to know what's happening behind the scenes, I have a third YouTube channel, Behind the Battery. But that's it for me. Thank you much for watching, have a great day and take care. Bye!